Welcome to the Low and Slow podcast.
We're your girls, Crystal and Laken. If you press play today, trust, you made the right decision.
And know whenever you're listening to this, it's exactly the right time.
We invite you to pull up a seat to the conversation, get curious about your current perspective,
and lean in for the opportunity to see yourself in another woman's story.
We created That Girl Magic because we've been where you are.
Here, the talk is real and the breath is steady.
Let's get into your next mindset shift.
Hello, welcome back to the Low and Slow podcast. Today, we are going to talk about something that came up in a workshop that I did at the beginning of this month or beginning of January. I'm not sure which one this is going to be airing, but it was something that was really helpful for the ladies that joined, and it's something that sounds simple, but honestly, it makes a big difference between when you are building self-trust or like staying stuck in a shame loop. And actually being able to like take positive reps forward, right? And being able to recognize where you're at in that progression and how to get out of it. And a lot of change feels scary. And the reason that it may not happen is not necessarily because you're incapable, but the language that you're using to describe yourself puts your nervous system into a defense mode. Mm-hmm. And that can make you feel very incapable. This is where like that overwhelm or all that self-doubt creeps in. So that's what we want to chat about today.
Yes, because your body is always listening. Like, hello, newsflash, it's always with you. And it doesn't just hear the thoughts that you say as words, right? Again, we've said this a lot on this podcast. The feelings, they're signals, right? These signals sound like what's wrong with me or something is wrong with me, right? And that's your system going into protection mode, being like, I gotta set off the alarm here, right? The switch that like, hey, I need some addressing. So
yeah. And once you are under perceived threat, like once I've decided that I feel like I'm under threat or my body feels like it's under threat, I'm not going to be showing up as my highest self, right? I'm not going to be making empowered choices for myself. I'm going to be in survival mode. Defense. And nobody makes good decisions out of survival mode.
Yes.
And so that's where we need to get some relief. So today we're going to walk through a progression that we can apply in real time with a lot of our clients in a lot of different avenues. And that is the language that is around identifying a problem to a pattern to shifting it to an opportunity and then using that opportunity to identify an action step out of it. And it's not just like the semantics of those things, right? I know like it can sound really ideal, but it's actually how we can move from that self-judgment of like shitting on ourselves. I have a problem with this, or I'm not good at this, right? To then a position of self-trust where I'm taking the action to collect the evidence to be able to improve that confidence and self-trust over time.
Yeah. So as you're listening today, right, get your breath low and slow, right? Before we even start, because we're gonna put you through that sequence, right? Problem, pattern, opportunity to action. And the breath is a big piece of that because it allows you to shift into that parasympathetic state. So inhaling for 4 through your nose. Exhaling for 6. Super slow, right? We tell you to do that. We're breathing with you during that time, but in your session. But here on the podcast, start to practice that yourself and let your body hear that nothing is wrong with you, right? Let your body respond to those breaths that you're taking and know that this is a part of you creating that safety for yourself. Like, we're in this meat suit. The only person's job who can do this is ours.
Yeah. And feel free to take notes if you're not driving, obviously.
Yes, please don't do that while you're driving. Jeez.
Yeah, this is something that can be applied to almost any situation that you're feeling stuck in. So I hope that it's really helpful. And obviously, if you guys have any questions, please hit us up about it. But yes, we're hoping that we can give you some practical examples of how to work through this today. Let's talk about why language matters.
I
matters.
was going to say, or even share with us, like we've had clients recently tell us, like, oh my God, I had a thing that came up and I worked myself through it. Oh my God, this shit works. And it's like, yeah, we want to hear when you work yourself through it in this way. And this will be one that's really simple application based where you can take yourself through it. So, yes. Why language matters. Because language matters because it's a nervous system translation, right? So let's make this super practical. Your nervous system has one main job: to keep you safe. Okay. So when it hears words like problem, or failing, right? I'm behind, or I just can't get it together. Your nervous system hears, okay, there's a threat here and I have to shift into that hyperactive mode to fix it right now.
Yeah. And that's why so many women will say this all the time. Like, I know what to do, but I just can't seem to get myself to do it. Right. It's like you can know exactly what to do and still not do the thing. And that's because knowledge really isn't the issue. Safety is the issue in moments like that.
Yeah. So when you feel safe, that is when you can plan, right? When you can problem solve, when you can, be consistent, you can hold the nuance, right? Of maybe the two conflicting truths that you're having. And when you feel unsafe, that's when you're going to go into that flight, God, I can't even say the damn words. Flight, fight, freeze, or fawn response. And what can those things look like? This could be being over controlling, right? Or avoiding, or procrastinating, shutting down, people pleasing, or just telling yourself that you're just going to start over again on Monday, or
the fuck it mentality.
I'll start, I already messed up this month. I'll start again in February.
Yeah. And a lot of you are not necessarily inconsistent, even if you're telling yourself that. You're
right.
just using shame as a strategy to keep you in something that feels very familiar. But shame is not a good fuel source to use. It literally leads us nowhere good, and it's pretty volatile.
The shame and guilt is keeping you stuck there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we want to reach for something else instead.
Yeah. So shame is going to be something that gets louder, right? And we talk about this a lot. It's not about turning it completely off, but it is about turning it down. And when the shame gets really loud of like, I don't know, like I'm making this big lifestyle change, right? And I'm going to do all the things, right? And then something happens and you don't. It's like this quick sprint. Then this is where you hear people like falling off and not getting back on the horse, because it's like your nervous system is crashing from that big, like, I'm going to change everything all at once, right? And then you ghost yourself and then you're mad about it. And you're shaming yourself that I said I was going to do this and that I don't. But it's like, this is where one of the questions in our doc, we say, what is one small step you take? You know what happens? A lot of clients put a really big step after that question. And sometimes it just feels like the shame is something that you stay stuck in, is because we're putting too much on your nervous system at first. Can we like size it down to get your nervous system, to meet your nervous system with where it's at, and then be able to take a small rep that actually gets you going in the direction you're wanting to go.
And I want to make sure that we name that this is not just, think more positive.
Yeah.
Like toxic positivity.
Yeah.
Like I do not subscribe to that. I don't think that that's helpful, just to say like, well, I'm just always going to look for the silver lining, or I'm just going to put a positive spin on it all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't remove the shame, and it definitely sets off the bullshit meter. It's literally learning how to talk to yourself in a way that keeps you regulated long enough to be able to take the action, as opposed to just constantly shitting on yourself and staying in the same shame loop.
Yeah, for sure. The toxic positivity is real. Like I hear a lot of clients say, whatever they're shaming themselves for. And then they'll be like, but I'm so grateful. And it's like, that's great. You can be grateful. But if the repeating thought, which is why we have you write it down, which is why we have you identify it, right? It's not about needing this gratitude journal of the 12 things you're grateful for, and then you're shitting on yourself for this one. Like you actually just need a new sentence around what you're shitting on yourself for.
Yeah. So let's start with the problem phase, right? And this is When you call something a problem, your body is preparing for a fight response. And we do this a lot, right? Like, oh, I have a problem with consistency. I have a problem with motivation. I have a problem with discipline. Refer back to our previous episode on discipline and devotion. I have a problem with food, right? And here's what problem language creates: shame, urgency, it's pressure to fix yourself. Because if there's a problem, I'm seeking a solution, right? And so your nervous system hears something is wrong with me. This directly feeds the idea of I'm not enough.
Yes. And right here is where this is why we ask you questions in sessions of like, what are you feeling right now? What kind of vibe does that create, right? When you say that sentence, how do you feel? We're not asking you that just to know how you feel. We're asking you because we want you to see the difference of when you say a certain line, it creates this emotion. And then if we were to change some things, it could create something different. So I want you to notice what happens when you say it. Like right now, pick one thing that you've been mean to yourself about. Right? And say, I have a problem with, enter what it is. And then check into how you're feeling in your body, right? Did you tighten? Did your chest drop? Did you get that little feeling in your stomach? Like, ugh, like, yeah. Like when someone says like, yeah, that's true, right? Like this is your nervous system bracing. Just like when you see a car coming, you're about to get in an accident, it's bracing before that. Because the body is going to respond. It's just, a lot of times, are we listening? Are we noticing these cues? Which is why noting and naming is so helpful. So see how your body's responding.
So like for me, it would be, I have a problem with getting to bed on time right now. That is the one for me right now, right? But like if saying that and using the word problem, that implies that I'm defective in some way, right? Like there's something wrong with me that I can't just get my shit together and get to bed on time, that it's completely, it's an issue that I'm not overcoming. And when you believe that you're defective, the next step becomes, oh, I deserve to be punished, right? Or like I deserve whatever negative consequences on the other side of that. So to try to fix yourself, you end up like pushing harder or cutting back more or restricting more or trying to be perfect, setting unrealistic rules, right? And then when you can sustain it, you confirm the original shame story. When you can't sustain it, I should say. So when I tell myself I have a problem with getting to bed on time, and then I feel like, oh, that doesn't feel good, that I'm not making the right choices to get to bed on time, that's my fault, like there's a problem with me, then I'm looking at, okay, well, I just need to be more strict with myself and make sure that I cut everything off at this time, or I call lights out, or like whatever it is. And then if I just try to force instead of analyze, what are the things that are contributing to that? What are the areas that I could create a little bit more ritual around, or, set myself up for success? And we'll get to that later. But as soon as I don't sustain it, so I'm going to push a little harder. I'm going to say, oh, I just need to make this happen because this is what's necessary for me to get enough sleep. When it doesn't happen, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Of like, oh, see, it is my fault. I'm the issue. I'm the problem.
Right. And it's a trap. It's that infinity loop. It's keeping that thought on the hamster wheel, working overtime to start searching for all the places where you're doing that, right? And this is where that you judge yourself, that inner critic's loud. And you judge yourself for judging yourself, that you're judging yourself that you didn't get to bed on time, right? And then this is what creates my favorite word, the spiral, right? Right now, just to share mine, if I were to use the word problem, I have a problem with focusing, right? So, but then if I'm shitting on myself for not being able to focus rather than taking the steps of like, well, why, right? What's happening? Am I trying to do too many things at once, right? Am I saying I'm doing all of this and then I'm actually, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, if I'm just shitting on myself for not being able to do that thing, I'm going to just keep keeping myself there. That's not actually helping me solve being any more focused.
Yeah. And a lot of women don't even realize this, but problem language does not create solutions. It creates defenses, right? Like we said, preparing for that fight response. And defense does not build consistency. If we're defensive, we're being avoidant. So it just builds that avoidance strategy that we're probably already implementing in some way or another anyway. So that's the direction that it's taking you in.
Yeah. So here's the first reframe. Here's the shift. You don't have a problem. you have a pattern, right? You have a pattern that you're recognizing that you've been maybe previously telling yourself you have a problem with, but if you shift it to pattern, okay, well, you have a pattern sounds like, oh, I have some awareness around this. I can do something about this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like I have a pattern with not getting to bed on time.
Mm-hmm. Right. So when you name the pattern, the fight dissolves, right? Because pattern language doesn't attack your identity. It doesn't directly mean something about you. It creates awareness. It gathers information. Like she said, I have a pattern getting to bed on time. Now she's gathering information throughout the week. How many times did I get to bed on time, right? Or what were some of the things that happened of why I couldn't get to bed on time? So instead of I have a problem with, I'll do mine, with focus, we can say I'm noticing a pattern of not being able to focus when I'm done with my day, right? Getting more specific. When exactly is this happening? Is it in the morning? Actually, I'm really focused in the morning, right? Midday, I'm pretty focused. And it hits the evening, that's where I'm struggling. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And listen to the difference, right? It's like problem equals I'm broken. Pattern is like, oh, like this happens when, right? We're looking for data. We're looking for occurrence, right? Information that's going to help us to solve the said problem that we've stated previously, right? So that's curiosity. That's where understanding comes in. That's where we can gather the context that's going to help us move forward.
Yes. And your nervous system loves context. Give me all the context, right? Because context creates predictability. And if I can predict something ahead of time, predictability is going to be what creates the safety, right? So we want to give, just like if we're tapping into the signals in our body, we want to give all the context that we can. I mean, think about like, this is just language within your own nervous system, but it's kind of like language with another person. I'm not saying the more context that you give, but when you come to a conversation and your defenses are down and you can give why you're feeling that way, right? The other person has a better understanding of you. Same thing with yourself. It's just sometimes this is not at the forefront of our brain because this is just a meat suit and we live up here.
Yeah, the predictability helps to create the certainty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So some examples that will commonly come up, right, if we shift into that pattern language is like, oh, I notice a pattern of going all in on Monday and then falling off by Thursday, right? I notice a pattern of people pleasing when I feel tension or fear of consequence. I notice a pattern of procrastinating when something feels really important to me, right? When the risk is really high. I notice a pattern of numbing out when I'm tired. This one is a big one, right? Like when people actually could benefit from sleep and they're like, well, again, avoidance creeps in. Or I notice a pattern of overthinking when I'm scared of being judged. That one's a big one that's pretty prevalent too.
Right. And all of these statements, right? None of this means anything about you, but our brain we are making it mean something about us, right? If anything, this doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. You're human because patterns are protective, right? They're the way that your system, it was your system's best idea at the time. Like that's what it could do. That's how it was responding. So I think it's important to, when you say that of like, I know I am noticing a pattern of whatever it is, can you even just insert of, okay, and that's normal. That's normal. And what do I want to do about that?
Yeah. So when you shift there, then I want to give you guys some questions that you can use to start to lean into that curiosity, right? Like mapping this out when you shift to that pattern language. So thinking about things of like, okay, when does this show up the most? What happens right before it? Because usually it's there's like a domino effect, right? And identifying the lead domino is something that's really important. Or what feeling am I trying not to feel? That one's really big, and that one's not always the easiest. It's not easiest to identify because a lot of us don't have language around it, or we don't have practice with identifying our feelings. But that is something that can be really valuable if you start to create an intentional practice around it, of just identifying, how am I feeling in any given moment, right? Or like, when I'm feeling tension, what does that actually feel like in my body? What emotion would I name that, right? Like, that's a good practice to have anyway.
Yeah, a lot of times it's because those emotions that we want to first name, they're surface level, right? So I even send my clients this wheel, right? Can we start here? Choose the one that's most familiar on the surface, and then go to that outer ring and see, is there one that describes it better? Because a lot of times until you see it, which is why noting and naming is so important, you're like, oh, that's it, right? But you didn't have the language for it because you didn't know until you saw it, right? Or you didn't know until you started naming it in a different way.
Or you've probably never seen or heard anyone name their emotions
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. Like, there's a reason why that movie Inside Out was created. That's one of the first pieces of homework I give my clients, of like, yeah, I want you to watch that movie. It wasn't just made, it's animated, but it wasn't made for kids. It was made for adults. This happens to you too. So the patterns here, most patterns are not about laziness. We hear this all the time, right? Of like, oh, I'm lazy if I don't do this, right? Most patterns are about avoidance, of being uncomfortable, of discomfort. And the pattern usually makes sense when you see what you're trying to protect yourself from.
Yeah. So once we can name the pattern, then the question becomes, what do I need in this moment? Right. And that's what takes us to the next phase. So this is where we shift into the opportunity phase. And when you see the pattern clearly, then an opportunity can emerge, usually not before.
Yeah.
So it's not fix yourself. Opportunity is like, oh, here's where I can support myself. So instead of, I keep avoiding workouts when I'm overwhelmed, you can say something like, I have an opportunity to support myself when overwhelm shows up, right? So if I were to even take mine from, I have a problem with getting to bed on time, to, I have a pattern with not getting to bed on time, to, I'm going to take out the not for the opportunity. I have an opportunity with getting to bed on time. That's a huge shift. Like, it just feels different. I'm sure I said it differently.
Yeah, because then it's like, what's possible if you get to bed on time? Like, oh, I'll wake up and I'll have more energy. Oh, like, right, your brain immediately starts going there as you were saying it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, if she gets to bed on time, that's something.
And I'm looking for ways that I can support that possibility.
Correct.
And like make it happen, as opposed to all the ways that I wasn't making it happen before.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's like so if you're following, it's from problem to pattern. Now we're at the opportunity phase. Opportunity, that language is going to create choice. It's going to create flexibility. It's going to create agency. It's going to create you to have more buy-in, because you're giving yourself language that's actually supporting the direction that you're wanting to go. Which means you're no longer reacting to what you're saying, right? Your body isn't reacting to the things that you're saying, but you're responding to how your body is responding to what you've said. Kind of the opposite.
And this is where you stop being the victim of your habits and you start writing them. You're the author of them, right? Like you get to be in the driver's seat, as you like to say.
Yes.
And a lot of you are waiting for motivation. And what you really need is just a plan for when you get triggered.
Yes.
Because it's going to happen. It's going to come up. It's normal. It's a part of life. And what am I going to do when it happens?
Exactly. So the opportunity, your opportunity here, right? This is where we say, like, you have the opportunity to discern and decide, do I like the lens in which I'm speaking out of, right? And your opportunity is where you make the plan for the moment that you usually abandon yourself, right? Because we recognize the pattern of when that happens, and you're in there now. You're giving yourself a new opportunity. So what can that look like? Some of the things that she said before. What do I need right now in the moment? That you usually spiral. Now we're getting more specific, not just what I need, because that could be willy-nilly up here. Like, all right, how many things do I need right now? But what do I need right now in the moment that I usually spiral? What could support look like instead of pressure from myself, right? If I'm used to giving myself pressure, I know what that shit looks like, but what would support actually look like? Which this is also where this turns back into more, what is the word I'm looking for? Like independence, right? Because if this is something you're usually seeking from someone else, now it's like, oh, I have the opportunity to create that myself. Another question of what that can look like, an opportunity, is what's the nicest next best option available, right? So not something that's unrealistic, right? Not something that's like so far out, or like that's like we said, not nice, right? The shame, the guilt, all those things, right? What's the nicest next best option? And if it's available to me, can I give it to myself in some capacity?
Yeah, and I'll often say like what's the simplest or what's the easiest option, right? Like what would this look like if it were easy?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it looks like it's something that's going to be difficult for me, I'm not going to lean into that when I'm feeling triggered. That's not going to be an option for me. I'm going to avoid it more than likely.
Yeah. What can a step look like? Right? Not doesn't have to be the step, but what can a step look like?
The baby step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to talk about some common opportunities that we see pretty often. The first one is if your pattern that you've identified for yourself is avoidance, the opportunity is more than likely support in some way or another. If you are avoiding, whether it's feelings, if you're avoiding, usually it's always feelings. You probably need some support in that, whether that's coaching, whether that's a spouse or a partner, whether that's a good friend, right? Like, can you come to a place of vulnerability and say, hey, I'm really struggling with this and I find myself often avoiding it because it doesn't feel good for me. I could use some support in this, right? And then they can offer to client, or you can provide additional support for yourself, right? Like setting those steps up, those dominoes to like go in your favor. Another one is overgiving. So if you have a pattern of overgiving, / people pleasing. This one is going to be like you have an opportunity with a boundary. You have an opportunity with communicating a boundary, and you more than likely have a bigger opportunity with holding the line because that's where the boundary often slips, right? Can I teach people how to treat me? And if you have a pattern with all or nothing, which we hear so often, then the opportunity is the minimum rep, right? The baby step, the minimum viable rep.
Yeah. Yeah. If your pattern is people pleasing, then sometimes another thing you can do is just giving yourself that pause, like we spoke about before, right? Pause before you just give your yes, honor what that no can look like. If your pattern is control, then an opportunity for you here could be just trusting that that small step is going to add up, is going to compound. So can I give myself what I need right now to trust that and take a small step, right? I don't need to have control over everything. I can have control over something. And so the opportunity again isn't to do more. The opportunity is to do what works with your nervous system. And I think this is where a lot of women want to tell themselves otherwise, right? It's like telling themselves maybe a story that's no longer working for them, that's outdated. Just because it worked for you before doesn't mean it's still working for you now. And can you start to learn? That's the opportunity to learn, well, what does my nervous system need now in this phase of life when things are changing, when I'm busier, when I have more kids, right? I had a client today that, she's comparing herself to when she was engaged and didn't have kids and didn't run a business and all of this. And it's like your nervous system is asking, hey, can you work with me now? Right? So action doesn't come from the pressure. It's going to come from the clarity. And that's where we shift into the next piece.
Yeah. Yeah. And action is not, it's not always glamorous. It is often really small and sometimes embarrassing things, right? Like the things that won't collect the notoriety, the things that aren't something that that we like want to lean in and celebrate, but it makes a big difference when we do. So just one small aligned step that you're able to commit to and that you can put on repeat.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, like action might be just taking a 5 to 10 minute walk or putting your stuff down and doing like 5 minutes of stretches or just picking 5 stretches and doing them, right? For any amount of time, filling up your water bottle or removing yourself from your current environment to go get a new glass of water or a new bottle of water, texting somebody, right? Reaching out for connection is one that's important. Or, I love like just snuggling with your dog if you have a pup.
Yeah, because honestly, a lot dogs, cats, and whatever you have, right? They have a nervous system. Cats regulate to your nervous system, and the dog as
Hmm.
well. It's like they're there to support you. We don't realize that that's what's happening with pets, but it is.
Yeah. And you want to
Um,
know why they're so great? Because they're only in the present. They have no concept of of
yeah,
like
yeah,
worrying about shit outside of what's happening in the present.
yeah, and they're only wondering for when you're going to return to give them that attention
Hmm.
again, right? So, pressure is going to activate the threat, and clarity is going to be what activates your choice, right? Which puts the power you back in the driver's seat. And the goal here isn't intensity, right? The goal here isn't like the sprint to get there. It's about building. The goal is self-trust. So we need to build what that looks like. And self-trust is built by doing what you said you would do at a level that you can sustain. Now, that second piece, at a level that you can sustain, is the most important part, because so many times we see what everyone else is doing and we're comparing. Like, what you can sustain is probably very different when someone else can sustain. And you can't compare someone's chapter 1 to chapter 75.
Yeah. So with the example that we've given, kind of mapping this out. So if I shift from, I have a problem with getting to bed on time, I have a pattern with struggling to get to bed on time. I have an opportunity with getting to bed on time. And then that allows me to seek out the action steps, which may mean, okay, I could improve my nighttime ritual or set an alarm for myself to start that ritual earlier. I could not read my novel that I'm really into right before I go to bed because I end up reading longer than I should and not going to sleep, right, when I want it to be nights out. I could start to unwind in a different way, right? So get off of screens earlier. Right. Some of the things that I could do that are action steps that are going to be conducive towards the goal that I'm setting, and then decide which one of those feels most realistic for me, even if it's just one at a time. This is where we want to just like, oh, let's do it all, right? We want the perfect routine to set us up for success. Pick one thing that feels super realistic, 9 out of 10 confident that I will do it tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and then do it.
Yes. Yeah.
Always progress from there.
Yeah. And if you want to make it even more low and slow, as we say, action can be the smallest thing that gives you that proof, right? That proof that says, "Oh, I got me. Oh, I just did that. So I wasn't doing
Mm-hmm.
it before, but actually, oh, I'm safe with me. Like, oh, I can decide what I need next." Right? And when you start to give yourself that evidence, that's the evidence that you want to keep collecting.
Yeah. And that's the game. So just a recap, problem is going to put us in the fight mode,
Mm-hmm.
right? Pattern language is where we gather information. We're opening up that curiosity. Opportunity is where we're able to seek out choice. And then action is where we're able to start to establish that trust with ourselves and collect that evidence and keep that momentum going.
Yes. And so most women, you don't need more discipline. You just need better language around the things that you're trying to discipline yourself with.
Yeah. So when you listen to this episode, pick one thing that you've been calling a problem, run it through this progression, play with it, write it down. Don't just do it in your head or like in the air because it's not going to hit the same way. It really does make a difference to write it down and visually see this,
Yeah.
right? Write it down and then take the one small action that you identified for yourself.
Yeah. We don't tell you to write it down just because we want you to write it down. Like, there's a reason, right? So
Mm-hmm.
try it, because if what you've been doing hasn't been working, here's your opportunity. Okay. So,
Yeah.
and then try.
Speaking of opportunities,
Okay. So then after you do that, then try this, right? I want you to be aware of these things. How long did it take me to return back to myself? Right. I had a client do this and she said, I know that this may mean I never spiral again, but now I know how to get myself back. Right.
yeah.
And that is the big
Disclaimer, it will not mean that you will never spiral
correct.
again or that you will
Yes.
never be triggered again.
Right.
You will.
Right. You will, but you're also having reps of where you've given yourself evidence of where you can get yourself back. And so this is where you start to develop that self-trust metric around, like, it's kind of like a game. Like, okay, that happened. Well, let's see how fast I can get myself back to being good. Right. And this is where writing it down becomes like an intentional practice, where what if every time this happened, you gave yourself the space to do that, you would eliminate being in that spiral for a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is.
Yeah. The opportunity that I was talking about was the request to reframe.
What? What?
The opportunity that I was talking about is the request a reframe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that is your opportunity too. So, a new episode drops every Wednesday. And so if we could have those in by Tuesday, ladies, we could start sharing them, right? It's there available for you. Request a reframe. It's in the link in our show notes. It's in the link in our bio. You're calling up the hotline and you're requesting a remix on something that you've been shitting on yourself for. And so we're here to give it to you, but we got to know your dilemma first. And I get it. Nobody wants to be the first one. It's vulnerable, but it's anonymous. And we're here to support you and do exactly what we've done today for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So please share this episode with somebody that you think would benefit from this formula that we laid out today.
Yes.
I know that you know somebody that would benefit from it. So please share it. Please like, subscribe, all the things. Please, please rate and review. If you have not reviewed the podcast and you're out here listening, why? I want to know why. And if it's because you don't know how, because it has come up and that's totally fair, go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, scroll down at the bottom when you get to the show. All right. And then you'll see 5 little stars there. Click on the 5th star and then leave a comment, please. And that would mean the absolute world to us.
Yeah. And we're not asking for a novel, ladies. We're asking for, if there was a takeaway that you got, maybe one episode hit different, just say that, right? That I love whatever your takeaway was. We want to know, because that gives us more information, right? Of like what is being helpful to you. So please like, share, subscribe. If you have YouTube, subscribe there too. Okay. We want to be able to have you on all platforms with us. And, we'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time.
Bye.
When was the last time you felt truly clear and at peace?
Maybe you've been asking yourself, why can't I just feel peace?
Most of us don't just need another escape. Vacation is great and all, but what we really need is integration.
When's the last time you gave yourself permission to play? As adults, we don't do that enough. And this is to be messy, curious, maybe even a little wild, like the little girl you used to be. She's still here. She's just waiting for you to say it's safe to come out again.
That's why we created Peace, Play, Love. For 7 days in the Costa Rican jungle, luxury meets real life with story work, somatic practices, and nervous system tools that help you not just reset here, but take that peace home with you.
I've been bringing women to Costa Rica for years because this land and the people have been a part of my own healing journey. And all of us have left transformed for the better.
At Peace, Play, Love, we'll slow down together, we'll breathe, we'll meet the guilt, the shame, the exhaustion, and learn how to alchemize them into permission, into softness, into peace that you can actually feel in your body.
This retreat is deeper than a pause. We're not just unplugging you. We are rewiring you.
I've witnessed these women laugh from the depths of their souls, feel reconnected to who they truly are, tear up from actually taking in a sunset, and watching as their shame, their stress, and fears all float off into the great beyond.
You'll map your next season with clarity and leave with insight to keep your nervous system regulated and your choices aligned long after you return. We keep it small on purpose, just 9 women, each supported through high-touch coaching, sisterhood, and real community.
The women who come, they're do-it-allers. They show up no matter what. They climb the mountain with the weight of the world on their back and a smile on their face, because that's just what they do. But they're looking at this next chapter of their life, and they know that they don't want it to feel like the last 5 did.
You don't have to hold it all anymore. You don't have to keep proving you're okay. This retreat is your safe place to land, and it's your invitation to play again.
There's something magical in this land that helps you find the magic in you. The light turns on, the weight lightens, and from there, you decide what the next chapter will be and who you will be inside of that on your terms. This is the magic of saying yes to you.
If you're craving calm and clarity that sticks, this is your invitation to join us in Costa Rica in June. Come exhale with us and remember who you are beneath the noise.